As we come together for our just pause, oftentimes that is the only time that I get to be with what is just as it is. I'm doing a lot of hard things these last few days, and honestly, I'm scared. That's the root fear. And that's a tender, precious space to be with what is. But it didn't just happen when I started meditation. This is a practice that has been cultivated through years of showing up, oftentimes not even knowing where or how I was showing up, until when I do come to the cushion, when I can make it to this sacred space, I can see clearly what it is that I've been holding on to, what it is that I perhaps have been doing or not doing. And sometimes it's even where I've been trying to undo or redo things that really maybe aren't mine to do. So I am here today with a bit of a heavy heart. I have a friend who I just learned has been diagnosed with stage 3 lung cancer, and they are far away from me, and I love them like a sister, and I don't know what to do because there's nothing I can do. But like all of us, we've been doing hard things for a few years now. Some of them are related to COVID. Most of them are just related to trying to live our lives. Monies, houses, travels, families, parents, kids, neighbors, all of it. They ask us to do hard things. For me, it's technology. It really throws me a sucker punch. Spent the last 15 minutes trying to get my new computer so I could broadcast on it. So instead, we're on plan 3. So thank you for being here. Thank you for holding me accountable to this practice. On more than one breath this morning, I thought, should I cancel my meditation time? Should I cancel our meditation time? But I always know that it's better after. So welcome. I want to share with you a go-to poem as we settle into essentially some quiet, some stillness, to peel back the layers and just notice what emotions might be bubbling up, might be a low-grade simmer, or maybe so well concealed that you're not even sure that that's what's there. But this is entitled Grace by Lisa Lois. And that's what I'm asking for these days. It's just grace for myself, for my friend, grace for those whom I lash out at because of the burden of my heavy heart. Grace. Perhaps a feeling of relief washes over you, the way you unexpectedly see a face of someone you love in a crowd. Maybe a prayer fills your heart as you sit in the midst of your crowded life, welcoming the empty space. This is your daily work. To live this life as if she's there, just over your shoulder, an angel. Weightless in her wings, breaking open the sky at your back. An angel breaking open for wings on your back. My angel is my paternal grandmother. I don't know if she can hear me when I call out to her. I don't know what happens in the afterlife. She passed many years ago. But I know when I'm stuck, when I'm confused, when I'm overwhelmed, discombobulated. And by the way, that is this season, this fall season, this Vata transition can often throw us off our balance, off our game, out of sync. But when I feel that way, I call in the image the smell of my grandma. She wasn't an overtly kind-hearted or gentle. She was salt of the earth. She was a rancher's wife. She knew hard times. In fact, their brand was the shape of a capital H standing on a capital T. My grandfather translated it to mean hard times. But my grandmother named it the happy times. The optimist, always looking for the silver lining, always looking for hope. What are you feeling? Whether it's tickled by my story, whether it's opening up with this breath, this allowing, or maybe you already knew what you were feeling. And so much of this relationship with ourself, our capital S self, does rely on having language and even our interpretation. What does HT mean to you? Or what is your go-to perspective? What is your go-to teacher or guide to help you hear truth? Maybe that's the HT, hear truth. What are you feeling? In the body, there's a heaviness. There's a bit of a sticky stuckness in my throat and in my chest. Now, the emotion is about interpreting these bodily signs. I've felt these same bodily sensations when I was getting sick. I felt the same restriction when I had to make an important announcement or a tough decision. I had to ask for help. This is different, nuanced. What are you feeling in the body? And how do you use the three minds of the brain, the heart, and the belly to sort out the nuance of what that means? What is the emotion? And sometimes when I allow myself the space, my intellectual brain starts to solve the puzzle. Why am I feeling this way? I try to justify. I'm very good at rationalizing, explaining away why this is the right way I should be feeling. But my practice has taught me there is no wrong way of feeling, in which case there is also no right way to feel. It's not about understanding the linear, logical relationship. Compassion is about being with. Can I be with myself, with my story, with my issues? Just as I would be with someone else in their discomfort, their discombobulation, their illness or disease, can I offer myself without having to compete on my story is harder than your story. My agenda is more complicated, more convoluted. This is not important. We're not in a race. There is not a rationing of compassion. There is no need to ration love and belonging. Sometimes I'm afraid to breathe. And that is the heart of this practice. And so imagine that makes my head spin. But I'm afraid to breathe because it would require me to let go. It would require me to recognize that this too shall pass, and yet I cannot control what is to come. It's maybe perhaps an attempt to stop time, to stop change, to try and control that which is not mine to control. That's my MO. That's the habit that I effortlessly activate, particularly in times that are hard, in times that I'm happy, that I may not yet see. Call upon grace. May grace is that middle transitory space between where I am and tapping into compassion and believing and trusting. So in some ways, grace is the antithesis, is the remedy for doubt. Grace is the path to be with pain, fear, sadness. Grace is the kindling for hope. If you've discovered an emotion or a feeling or maybe even a story you're not yet sorted out into feelings, wherever you are in this invitation, this journey of the deep dive within, whatever you've come to notice, can you be with this emotion? This is where I call upon my grandma again. For whatever it's worth, imagining her with me to sit down for a cup of tea with fear seems more doable. Who might you call to sit with you in this energetic space of seeing your story more clearly, your emotions with compassion? Much of my life has been dedicated to analyzing, thinking my way through how to manage my emotions. So I am encouraged by a recent comment that I heard from Brene Brown, who says, "We are not so much thinking beings," Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am," but rather we are feeling beings who sometimes think. So if I was spending so much of my time thinking, the consequences of which meant I wasn't feeling, at least not in a deep knowing way. So since embarking on this journey of yoga, phew, what a wave of feelings and emotions. Not sure I would have welcomed this part of the journey had I known that this was what was in store. And yet, from this side of that journey, I'm absolutely certain it's entirely worth it. The belonging, the sense of being connected in one, the knowing to trust this circle of inhale and exhale, and the circle of you, me, and others, this union is strong enough to hold all of the emotions. I want to be with my emotions. I want to be in that mental and emotional space that I'm not threatened. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to ignore, deny, or avoid, because clearer seeing opens the path. Not just the path around, but the path through. The path through is the way of transformation, the way of growing and becoming. Many of us are looking for the way out. Yoga invites us to explore the way into the story, into the emotions, into the connection, to be with what is. Notice the pace of your breath, Is it accelerated? Is it steady? Has it slowed? Is it expanded? Is it ceased? Where might you be holding? Where have you embraced the allowing, the easing? This is your first tea party, your first visit with this emotion. It's okay that it's a short one. It's okay if you don't get very deep into conversation. Maybe another date can be scheduled. Saying hello, sitting together in silence, having a spot of tea to share this moment. But before we part, before we say farewell to this practice, to this deep dive into the emotion, whether it's in conversation with your fear, with your emotion, or with your own sense of well-being, your own sense of self, when would you like to do this again? And what would you like to unfold? What is it that you're looking to make space for in this relationship? Is it forgiveness? Is it affirmation? Is it clarity? That might be the outcome of sitting and having another cup of tea. The truth is, the more that we expose ourselves, the less agitation, the less it feels unfamiliar. And that might be the allowing, the being with in ease. Let's take just a few rounds of Samavritti breath. What comes in, goes out. Notice the breath. What will you bring with you into what's next in your day? Will you tackle the next task, remembering that this angel is with you, this guide, this reminder of your worthiness, of your loveliness? How will you receive the sensations of your body and the invitations from your world? Will you focus on what is hard? Or will you allow yourself to see the opportunities for happiness and joy and connection contained within? From the practice, we move back into the daily living. May you breathe deeply and move freely. May you labor lovingly and live vibrantly. May you be well. Namaste. Thanks.